Welcome to the Daily Update Toon Weekend Review. Catch up on what happened this week in short Toon format. A chemical plant fire at Biolab in Conyers, Georgia, has released chlorine into the air, prompting authorities to order over 90,000 residents in the Atlanta area to shelter in place. The fire, which began early Sunday morning due to a malfunctioning sprinkler head, has led to reports of a strong chemical smell and haze in Fulton County. Local and state emergency agencies are conducting air quality checks, while the Rockdale County government recommends residents keep windows and doors shut and turn off air conditioning until the situation is resolved. Biolab is cooperating with first responders to address the incident and ensure community safety. Verizon has resolved a significant network disruption that affected thousands of customers across the US, particularly in cities like Chicago and Seattle. The outage began around 9:30 a.m., peaking with over 105,000 user reports by 11:19 a.m., with some iPhone users experiencing SOS mode, indicating they could only make emergency calls. The Federal Communications Commission is investigating the cause and extent of the outage. Verizon has apologized for the inconvenience, but did not disclose details regarding the cause. Meanwhile, AT&T users reported minor issues, which the company attributed to difficulties connecting with Verizon's network. This outage follows Verizon's recent announcement of a $3.3 billion deal to lease and manage 6,339 mobile towers across the US. Iran announced that its missile attack on Israel, which involved over 180 ballistic missiles, has concluded, unless provoked further, heightening fears of a wider conflict. The US and Israel vowed to retaliate, with Washington promising severe consequences for Iran. In response to the missile strikes, Israel renewed bombings in Hezbollah-controlled areas of Beirut and activated its air defenses, successfully intercepting many of the missiles. Despite no injuries reported in Israel, a man was killed in the occupied West Bank. Both Iranian officials and Israeli Prime Minister warned of severe repercussions for any further escalations. The situation has drawn international concern, with calls for a ceasefire from the UN and the European Union amid escalating violence that has claimed nearly 1,900 lives in Lebanon over the past year. On Wednesday afternoon, thousands of Bank of America customers faced a widespread outage, experiencing issues accessing their accounts and seeing balances that appeared as $0. Many encountered connection error messages while trying to log into the banking app. By 1:15 p.m., nearly 20,000 users reported problems, although this number fluctuated throughout the day. The cause of the outage remains unclear. In response, Bank of America acknowledged the issue and stated that it was being resolved, apologizing for the inconvenience. Customers also reported difficulties reaching customer service during this time. On October the 3rd, the sun erupted with its most powerful solar flare of the current solar cycle, an X905 eruption, which peaked at 8:10 a.m. Eastern. This colossal flare caused shortwave radio blackouts over Europe and Africa and was associated with a coronal mass ejection that is expected to hit Earth between October the 4th and 6th, potentially triggering enhanced auroras. The coronal mass ejection carries electrically charged particles that interact with Earth's magnetosphere, leading to geomagnetic storms and auroras. This flare is the strongest since 2017, surpassing previous X-class flares in intensity. The solar activity highlights the unpredictable nature of space weather and its effects on communications. FEMA is currently unable to sustain its funding through the hurricane season, according to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. The agency is actively responding to the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, which has devastated several states, resulting in over 150 deaths. While FEMA has recently received $20 billion from Congress for disaster relief, lawmakers are focused on campaigning and may not reconvene to address additional funding needs before the election. A bipartisan group of senators is urging action to support recovery efforts, as more than 150,000 households have registered for assistance, particularly in hard-hit areas like the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. YouTuber Jack Doherty crashed his $200,000 McLaren during a live stream on Saturday while distracted by his phone in rainy conditions. The incident occurred as he hydroplaned into a security barrier, all captured on camera, with 185,000 viewers watching. Following the crash, his Kick streaming account was suspended for violating safety guidelines. Doherty had recently customized the McLaren and declared it totaled. Both he and his cameraman, Michael, sustained injuries and later sought medical attention, with Michael requiring stitches for a head wound.